is forbidden in Burmese prisons. Despite these strict conditions, many political prisoners take the risk of secretly studying subjects such as the English language.
When I
was 14, I was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment for the first time. One day we, that is 250 prisoners, had to move to another prison. Our legs were put in iron shackles. There was one shackle for 2 prisoners. And although we reached the other prison, the authorities never removed the shackles for many, many days. In the new place, it was very cold, as it was winter. We were uncomfortable under the bad weather. Moreover, we were also really uncomfortable in these terrible iron shackles. And we were all forced to work. We had to work in a pig feeding project. We had to clean the pig droppings. We had to clean the ditch, carry the rice bags and the bricks. When I was released, I contacted my former headmistress. I was rejected from continuing school, as I was away from education for 7 years. And I then contacted the local military intelligence officials on that issue. They told me that I needed to inform them about the political movements and exile activists who I knew. They also told me they would manage my high school education if I agreed to help them. I rejected their proposal, but as a result, I had to quit my education.
Those who are at liberty to express their thoughts, those who are at liberty to associate freely with others, they do not know what it is like to live in a society where you can be imprisoned for saying the wrong things, for associating with the wrong people. Wrong, let me say, in the eyes of the authorities. If you cannot say what you wish, then it means that you are not free, either as an individual or as a member of a political society.
After 1988, officials from the United Nations visited prisons to investigate the abuses of political prisoners. They tried their best to improve prison conditions. However, they themselves experienced human rights violations. Early in 2003, Mr. Pinero, United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Burma, was electronically bugged while he had a private interview with political prisoners in Insane prison. I felt a little bit depressed at that time, as I was put alone in the cell. I had the feeling that I must have looked like a horrified person, as the prison staff dared not to look at me. The prison authorities intentionally placed me like that in order to make me feel depressed. I didn't talk to anyone, as I was put alone for a long time. I sometimes wanted to cry out a song so loudly. My cell was totally hot. In summer, I felt like I was sitting in an oven. I got hypertension because of the terrible heat. The weather made it very hard for me. In cold season, it was freezing. In addition, the ventilation was so bad. Wherever I looked, there were walls. Prisons can have human rights abuses all over the world. However, abuses in Burmese prisons are the worst. A small pot is a toilet for everybody in the cell. There is one water pot in the cell, which they have to use to both clean themselves and for drinking. They have 2 improper meals a day in the dirty cell. Usually rice with bean soup and fish paste provides breakfast. For dinner, the meals are so-called vegetable soup and fish paste. Every Thursday evening, each prisoner receives a piece of fried meat. As prisoners live on under these conditions for several months and years, they usually succumb to different sorts of diseases due to malnutrition. Many political prisoners have died in prison as they did not receive proper medical treatment. After 1988, at least 82 political prisoners died in prison as a result of torture and ill treatment. More died after their release because of the diseases that they got in prison.
I heard the door open. They shouted my name and asked me to bring a sarong. They put it on my head and tied it round my neck. I couldn't see anything, and I was handcuffed behind my back. And when we reached the interrogation hall, I was ordered, lie down and face the floor. And after the order, there were beatings on my buttocks and my legs. I don't know how many of them beat me. What I knew was I received some 30 beatings the first time. And then there was a pause. I thought they'd stopped. And then the second time, they beat me in the same way again and again. I still hurt a little bit where they kicked me, using the head of a stone. In the movies sometime you will see someone is kicked. The body will jump up and there will be a lot of pain.